I don't know about you, but I find the internet to be an incredibly anti-sleep space. I see so many people on Reels and TikToks talking about how waking up a million times a night is normal and it's part of parenting and it's what you signed up for. I see so many people suggesting that this is how it has to be and that we're supposed to power through with like ample hydration and yoga and self care. And also, what's up with the crazy hydration? Anyway, I digress. So that's what I think a lot of parents are hearing about. This is how it is. Welcome to the club. Suck it up. So, one pediatric study gets used a lot to support the idea that relentless sleep deprivation and night waking is simply baked in and part of the deal. Defines the sleeping through the night as 6 hours. I don't know where this comes from. Most infants sleep 10 to 11 hours at night. Why would we define that as 6 hours? But anyway. So for most of us, 6 hours is not remotely sleeping through the night. And the other issue is that most infants go to bed at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So an infant sleeping a 6-hour stretch from bedtime does not mean an adult going to bed at an adult time has a plausible shot at 6 uninterrupted hours. I mean, here's a sleep chart of a child who probably meets the 6-hour criteria based on this study most of the time. But when we look at the parent's sleep on this chart, we see that the parent never gets 6 hours, or rarely. So the study found that at 6 months, 60% of babies were sleeping through the night by the 6-hour criteria, and that 40% were not. So you might look at that and go, oh, okay, well, more than half were sleeping through the night. But again, sleeping through the night is 6 hours, so not awesome. And 40% is a lot. 40% is a lot. So if we look at this through the PLS lens, we could consider some questions. Why not? Why are kids not sleeping through the night? Why are these kids waking up so often? Why can't they go 6 hours? The article doesn't say why. It didn't look at why. It was just trying to capture how long. Social media loves to suggest that it's developmental. They're not supposed to, you'll be told. This is how it's supposed to be, you'll hear. But what if we knew a little bit more? What if these children who are waking up at night didn't have a schedule that aligned with their needs? What if they weren't falling asleep on their own at bedtime? We would expect to see a lot of wakings, wouldn't we? So, does this study tell us that children must or should wake up a lot at night? Or does it suggest that, quite plausibly, kids who have a schedule that doesn't align with their sleep needs will very understandably wake up a lot? Kids who don't fall asleep on their own will wake up a lot and need parental assistance to fall back asleep. Precious little sleepers know that if you nurse, rock, cuddle, feed your child to sleep at bedtime, they're going to cycle through light sleep and they're going to need you to nurse, rock, cuddle, feed them back to sleep multiple times a night. So if that parent is doing those things and they're filling out a survey saying, how often does my child wake up at night? There you go. Here's a sleep chart that probably reflects what looks fairly normal for a 6-month-old who's not falling asleep on their own. And again, we can see that they're not meeting the criteria of the 6-hour stretch, so they would fit into the 40%. And we can also see that this parent has no plausible shot at a 6-hour stretch of sleep and is probably, justifiably, pretty exhausted. Another study looking at normal sleep development, again, this term normal comes up a lot, found that 6-month-olds wake 2.5 times a night, plus or minus 1.8, which means the bell curve goes from 0.7 wakings all the way up to 4.3. And the full night range in all of the survey respondents went from 0 to 15. 15. Whew, that's rough. So, again, precious little sleep lens. These babies have a schedule that does not align with their sleep needs and they are not falling asleep on their own, they're going to wake up a lot. And you're going to get a lot of kids waking up 4 times a night. So, here's what we know. most healthy 6-month-old babies are capable of sleeping very long stretches with 0, 1, maybe 2 feeds. Very reasonable. When our kids are falling asleep independently, they often are reliably meeting the criteria for 6 to 8 hours all on their own. When they are falling asleep independently, we now have infants who we can gradually wean off of a feed if we're not getting there on our own to get to a longer stretch. It is completely reasonable for a 6-month-old to fall asleep on their own at bedtime at, say, 7 or 8 o'clock and sleep without assistance until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, have a little snooze button feed, and then go back to sleep until 6 in the morning. That's what sleeping through the night looks like at 6 months. Not 6 hours. Sleeping 8 hours, 9 hours, having one feed going back down. What would this study look like if we added that filter on top? I don't know. Well, we make sure that their schedule aligns with their sleep needs. There is not one schedule for all infants. There is a range of normal. So it is our job to help figure out if the schedule we have is really working for our child or not. And then we gradually work through a plan to help them learn to fall asleep without our assistance. And when we do these things at 4, 5, 6 months, we avoid a whole host of issues down the road. And we don't have to worry about hydration and exhaustion in yoga because we won't be exhausted. So the internet loves to use the terms like normative and developmental, and these studies often use these words. That's where they come from. And that suggests that it's how it's supposed to be. No, those terms are just measuring what is. And what we know is that when parents don't understand how important sleep hygiene is, then they will nurse, rock, cuddle, feed to sleep for years. And they will endure multiple night wakings per year. But that's not serving anybody, and it doesn't have to be that way. Your child is learning new things every single day. Your baby is learning new things every single day. We know they can learn new things because they're constantly doing it. They are constantly showing us how incredible and capable they are. They're changing every day. They are capable of change. So if you don't want to be a part of the group who is still waking up multiple times a night at 6, 9, 12 months or longer, I would encourage you to trust your child and work through a plan to help them learn how to fall asleep a new way, to work on their schedule and make sure it works for them, because they are capable, and the whole family benefits when we make an investment into helping our kids sleep better. I hope that helps.